This internal aggression was precipitated by a land dispute between the two Cross River and Ebonyi communities. The House is further informed that more than 200 lives have been lost due to the internal aggression, which is avoidable. Families have lost their loved ones to this high level of animalistic brutality, and the situation has rendered the vulnerable people of both communities impecunious and helpless. The House is worried that government has not attended to the incessant killings and has made the dilemma faced by the people a perennial one.
Both motions are eventually referred to the appropriate committees, and the National Emergency Management Agency is charged to commence immediate distribution of relief materials to the victims. Meanwhile, in the Senate, the security crisis in the country dominated discussions, and some senators want an overhaul of the security architecture of the country. Some senators also made a case for the amendment of the 1999 Constitution to allow for the establishment of state police.
We have never had it this rough before, and we need to put in place the state police that everybody is clamoring for, even those apostles, those who were against it before. Everybody today is talking about it. In fact, those who were the antagonists of state police have become the protagonists today, promoting state police. And therefore, it's a good thing, it's a very welcome development that the National Assembly, both chambers, the Senate and the House of Reps, we are all talking about it, and we have promised ourselves that in the next 2 weeks, we'll come up with something reasonable.
Security concerns also dominated discussions on Wednesday and Thursday, 4th and 5th of July in the Senate. A federal lawmaker drew the attention of the Senate to the communal clashes in Cross River State, where several Nigerians have been killed.
The Senate is worried that from about the year 2000, rent to the landlord were stopped by the settlers, a situation which snowballed into a war in 2005. Notes that Cross River State had been paying staff of 3 primary schools and 1 secondary school located within the Z communities. The Senate is alarmed that the teachers in these schools are reported to have been chased out of the schools and the schools closed since 6th of June 2016. The Senate further notes that the primary bone of contention is that while the Ukeles claim that the boundary between Cross River State and Ebonyi State is at Ndiakwarata, the Z's claim that it is at Nkuma River. Worried that the present conflict has resulted in reported deaths, displacement of persons, and the destruction of properties. The Senate is aware of ongoing peace talks between the 2 state governments and the deployment of troops to keep the peace. The Senate knows that whatever may be the claims on either side, there is need for government action, there's need for decisive action by federal government to stem the incessant conflicts.
The Senate Majority Leader also presented a report on the Security Summit organized by the National Assembly in February this year. The Senate Ad Hoc Committee made several observations in the report, one of which is the acrimony and interagency rivalry between security agencies in the country. The Senate Majority Leader also presented some of the recommendations made by the committee to address the security crisis in the country.
Unhealthy rivalry and competition which currently characterize relations between key security agencies and officers must be eliminated immediately. 4. All the nation's security assets are dangerously stretched by current security challenges. There is the need to increase the size of the Nigeria Police Force, the military and other paramilitary agencies.
The National Security Summit held in February this year brought together heads of security agencies, top government officials and interest groups to find solutions to the multi-headed security problems in the country. Amnesty International recently stated that at least 1,813 people have been killed so far this year in the farmers' herdsmen clashes, Boko Haram attacks, armed banditry, among others. Lawmakers discuss what is fueling the crisis and suggest solutions.
The 1988 ECOWAS Protocol of Free Movement by West African countries. We must, as a country and as an assembly, look at that, because even Mr. President has acknowledged that most of the people who are giving us trouble in this country are exploiting this ECOWAS protocol and are coming into this country, invading this country and making this country very restless.
A lawmaker from Borno State says experts have warned about a population explosion in Nigeria, and this could further exacerbate the security challenges in the country.
In the year 2020, Nigeria's population will be 210 million. With desertification, with youth unemployment, this is actually a recipe for disaster.
At the end of the debate, lawmakers adopted several recommendations, one of which is a comprehensive review of the nation's basic security infrastructure. The upper chamber asks the federal government to provide low-interest loans for herders to develop ranches in the country. Meanwhile, the Senate is to investigate the murder of 7 policemen at Galadimawa roundabout in the Federal Capital Territory on July the 2nd. The policemen were killed while on active duty by unidentified gunmen. Senate President Bukola Saraki condemned the killing and asked the Senate Committee on Police Affairs to investigate the circumstances leading to the death of the 7 police officers.
I observed that we have not taken this issue of the 7 police officers that were killed, I think, was it on Monday in Galadima Junction. So I would like us to please find out what happened as regards to these 7 police officers that were killed, the circumstances, and how we can also show commiserate with the family.
The Senate is also to investigate the murder of a corps member, Ms. Linda Igwetu, who was allegedly killed by a policeman on Wednesday, July 4th in the Federal Capital Territory.
I wonder and I imagine the kind of trauma this family will be going through now, who are already expecting, preparing to receive their daughter, today being thieved after national service, only to receive her corpse.
How could this happen? How could, as you say, the officer mistakenly or whatever had led to unfortunately gunshot that led to this lady's death? And secondly, as you rightly said also, we had passed this compulsory treatment and care of victims of gunshot. President assented to it on the 30th, end of December. Meanwhile, you now go to a hospital and they will not treat her. I mean, if they treated her, she might not have bled to death. So these are deaths that are easily could have been avoided. And I think until we start holding people accountable to these kind of incidents,